Tonight on WBOC News at 7.
A Delaware state trooper killed in the line of duty. What police are saying about the shooting and how fellow law enforcement officers are remembering it.
A deadly crash shuts down a road in Sussex County. The latest on that investigation.
It felt like June out there today. It will again tomorrow. We'll talk about the weekend in a few minutes.
Now, WBOC News at 7. Delmarva's news leader.
Good evening. I'm Paul Butler.
And I'm Todd Carley. This is WBOC News at 7. Delaware State Police are mourning the loss of a fellow trooper tonight after he was killed in the line of duty.
State police say 8-year veteran Corporal Stephen Ballard was shot and killed yesterday afternoon in Bear, Delaware. Ballard was on patrol shortly after noon yesterday at this Wawa. Police say Ballard went over to a suspicious-looking car, and that's when the passenger in the car pulled out a handgun and shot Ballard. Police say Ballard ran for cover, but the suspect followed him, shooting even after Ballard had hit the ground. Now, police say that man took off in another car. The driver of the first car was arrested, but has been released.
Now, police identified the suspected shooter as Bergen Seeley Jr. State police say investigators were tipped off about his whereabouts by the suspect's family members. Police learned from family that he was holed up in his home about 15 miles away in Middletown, and they surrounded that home. Seeley refused to leave and repeatedly fired shots at officers. This went on for about 20 hours until Seeley came out of the house this morning and was shot and killed by police.
After the barricade situation ended, Governor Carney spoke at a news conference this afternoon. He spoke of Ballard's service and sacrifice.
I don't have to tell anyone here, but this has been a difficult few months for Delaware's law enforcement community. My heart is with Corporal Ballard's family today and with all the officers on his shift and in the Delaware State Police who serve beside him.
Now, while the shooting happened in southern Newcastle County, news of Corporal Ballard's death is hitting home for folks all across the state. Ballard spent some time in Milford.
WBOC's Chris Weimer joins us tonight in the Newsplex. And Chris, you spoke with one of the neighbors today.
Yeah, Paul, that neighbor says the second he heard about the fatal shooting, he said, "My God," to his wife. "I hope it isn't Steve." It was.
How do you sum up the life of a fallen officer? With words like courage, selflessness, and sacrifice. They're easy words to throw around. In Corporal Stephen Ballard's case, they're also true. Mac McCormick is remembering Ballard today as a neighbor in Milford.
It's just so sad.
McCormick lived next door to Ballard for several years. He says Ballard was the quintessential police officer. If something wasn't right in the neighborhood, you could count on Ballard to investigate.
He was such a fine gentleman, such a dedicated trooper, just an all-around nice guy that you'd want in your neighborhood.
In the law enforcement world, there's a sense of mourning that resonates in a way only those who serve and protect can truly understand.
Knowing what we go through together, it's a bond.
Officer First Class Mikhail Stanton of the Milford PD knew Ballard. He says Ballard always had a smile on his face. In Milton, Police Chief Robert Longo is overcome with emotion watching Ballard's body escorted from the hospital on Wednesday. The lines of men, women, and children saluting their fallen officer weighs heavy.
There's one picture of a soldier holding his young child, saluting. And I watched that with my wife. And I thought to myself, I pray you never have to go through this.
Chief Longo went on to say law enforcement is a family. Our patches are different, but we all bleed blue. We will stand united with the Delaware State Police on anything that they need.
Chris, thanks. We will continue to follow this story throughout the night at 10 and 11 and on our website, WBOC.com. In other news, in Sussex County, state police are investigating a deadly crash in Delmar. Chopper 16 flew over the crash early this afternoon. Police say a tractor trailer and a truck collided on Whitesville Road west of Pepperbox Road. The driver of the truck was pronounced dead. Police have not yet released the name of the victim or said what caused the crash there in Delmar.
Another project has been announced as downtown Salisbury continues to grow. Today, Mayor Jake Day joined the owner of Capital Stand-Up Paddleboarding and Fisher Architecture to announce a new project. The company will be one of the first tenants in the new marina landing development on the waterfront at the port of Salisbury. Capital Stand-Up Paddleboarding will offer paddleboard and kayak rentals, along with tours and even fitness classes. The company began in Annapolis, but the founder is a Salisbury native and is looking forward to opening up shop here.
Here in a cold January day and sat in a coffee shop with Mayor Day, and he sold me on the vision of what Salisbury is going to become, and I immediately wanted to be a part of it, and from that point right there, just started getting steps in place to get this thing going.
Meyer says they want to have a mobile unit up and running by Memorial Day, and they will eventually have a waterfront retail shop once that building is complete downtown Salisbury.
Gotta try that. All right, start of the NFL draft is less than an hour away, and fans have descended upon the city of brotherly love to cheer on their favorite team's picks.
And our crew has made their way to Philadelphia as well. WBOC sports director Matt Pensick and our Bill Mitch. And we start tonight with Bill, who joins us live via satellite. And Bill, excitement really starting to build up now, I imagine.
Yeah, Todd, Paul, we've been in this spot overlooking the Ben Franklin Parkway for about 2 hours now. And this vantage point that we have, it's not bad, but it doesn't do nearly the amount of justice to show just how many fans have packed into the Ben Franklin Parkway in front of that stage here for this draft. There's fans from every team across the NFL, but really for all of those fans that you just saw, the draft has really become more of an experience beyond just the picks that are made around 8 o'clock tonight. The NFL has taken over the Ben Franklin Parkway that runs from downtown Philly up to the Art Museum, those famous rocky steps, and they've built that giant stage in front of those steps. And really this whole draft experience, that big long concourse, it stretches more than 25 football fields long. And today, fans have been able to meet players, take photos, and even participate in some of the drills that the college recruits do at the NFL Combine. Now, we found one local fan from Delmarva who is counting down the minutes to the draft.
It's electric out here. There's so many people, like, it's just crazy. This is the best city in America, the best football fans in America, and we are all here just excited for pick number 14, see what the Eagles are going to bring to the city.
Now, you heard him mention pick number 14 for the Eagles, and as you can imagine, this place is going to go nuts when 14 is announced. But speaking of the picks, coming up in just a little bit, WBOC Sports Director Matt Pensick, he's going to join you, and he's going to discuss the potential picks we could see the Ravens, Eagles, and Redskins make tonight here in Philadelphia. Live in Philly, I'm Bill Mitch for WBOC News. We'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Bill, thanks. Having fun out there tonight. And that draft, again, kicks off in about 54 minutes. Making headlines around the region now here tonight, prosecutors in Baltimore have charged a suspect in connection to the death of a toddler. Police say Terrell Plummer, a member of the Old York Money Gang, shot a gun during a turf battle that missed the target. That bullet hit and killed 3-year-old Mackenzie Elliott.
We have a portrait of Mackenzie with us because I think that illustrates what this is really about. You know, some people think violent crime involving drug organizations is just a matter of drug dealers killing each other, and that would be bad enough. But it's even worse because there are innocent victims who are affected by this violence.
6 other Baltimore men have been arrested and indicted on federal drug conspiracy charges.
The man accused of killing a state trooper has been sentenced to death in Pennsylvania. Eric Freen showed no emotion while receiving the death penalty yesterday. The same jury convicted him last week of shooting and killing a state trooper and injuring a second one back in Pike County in September of 2014. Now, there was an audible yes from the troopers in the Pennsylvania courthouse. His lawyers promise an appeal.
After months of investigation, the Baltimore City Fire Department reports the cause of that fire that killed 6 children is still undetermined. 10 members of the Malone family were caught in a fire in their 3-story home in the early morning hours of January 12th. 11-year-old Bridget, 10-year-old Amelia, 3-year-old twins Amanda and Zoe, and 2-year-old William and 9-month-old Daniel were all killed. Since the fire, there has been a huge outpouring of support for the family. A GoFundMe page has raised more than $360,000, and a memorial playground to honor the Malone family is also in the works there in Baltimore.
Purdue Farms has a new person in charge, and his name is not Purdue.
Yeah, Randy Day was named the company's CEO last month, and he says he intends to continue the company's legacy while adapting to a changing industry. And that's just a portion of my conversation with Mr. Day. If you'd like to see the entire interview, you can find it on the Web Extra tab of our website, WBOC.com. All right, talking weather now. The sunshine returned, huh?
Loving it. Temperatures soared into the low 80s today. Taking a live look into Rehoboth Beach from our Boardwalk Plaza Hotel camera. Chief Meteorologist Dan Satterfield says we may see some rain overnight, but another warm day and breezy day on tap for tomorrow. Your forecast next when WBOC News at 7 returns.
Now, WBOC News at 6, Delmarva's news leader.
A deadly 14 hours on Delmarva. 2 people killed in 2 separate shootings, and so far, only 1 suspect in custody. Good evening, everybody. I'm Steve Hammond.
And I'm Todd Carley in for Paul Butler. Tonight, this is WBOC News at 6. Police are investigating 2 deadly shootings. One happened last night in Worcester County, the other just a few hours ago.
All right, shortly after 1 o'clock this afternoon, the Wycomico Sheriff's Office responded to a shooting in Salisbury. WBOC's Nicole Lauren is live on Booth Street where that shooting occurred. Nicole, you say this is still an active investigation.
Yeah, Steve, we don't know too much right now, but take a look from Chopper 16. You could see the victim being transported to PRMC. Police say the victim was shot in the chest and was pronounced dead not too long after. Police have not yet released the identity of the victim or any information about possible suspects. Police say they are working with all leads and that if anyone has any information, to contact the Wycomico Sheriff's Office. Now, that was the second deadly shooting in less than 24 hours. Late last night, a 23-year-old man was murdered in Pocomoke City, and we spoke to someone who lives not too far from the shooting, and she says this needs to stop.
Here on 4th Street is where the body of 23-year-old DeAndre Bailey was found last night after police say a fight got out of hand. An area in Pocomoke that has now seen 2 murders in the past few months. And Jeannie Ward lives right across the street, and she says it could have been one of her children.
When I looked out my back door and seen the young man laying in the street, it just hurts my heart because this is somebody's child.
Ward says that after a shooting happened in her front yard and backyard just months apart, something needs to be done.
And this, I thought, was a pretty safe area. I mean, it's right here by the library. It's right on Market Street. But it seems to be that the Pocomoke Police Department are just not stepping up to the plate.
But others say they don't think crime in Pocomoke is a problem, and it might have just been an unfortunate circumstance.
Crime is minimal. It only happens once in a while. They were in the wrong place at the wrong time. I feel sorry for the young man.
The suspect was identified as Daryl Wise. State police arrested Wise this morning and are charging him with first-degree murder, along with several other charges.
Ward says she's now considering moving elsewhere after back-to-back murders occurred not too far from her home. In Wycomico County, I'm Nicole Lauren, WBOC News, Salisbury.
All right, Nicole, thanks very much. Moving on, there's some grumbling among some people with connections to Delaware's correctional system about the state's response to the February hostage situation at the Vaughn Correctional Center near Smyrna.
And WBOC's Kent County Bureau Chief Tom Lehman joins us now from our bureau in Dover. And Tom, this comes at a time when staffers are expressing some frustration this week.
Todd, as we reported this week, correctional officers conducted a sick out or blue flu, basically a coordinated sick day at least once this week, trying to say that leaders need to be more swift in their response to the inmate uprising and death of correctional officer Stephen Floyd. But frustration is also growing among those who aren't staffing prisons but are visiting the people serving time.
Linda Butcher has a lot of experience with Delaware prisons. As a relative of both former and current prison inmates as well as correctional officers, Butcher says Delaware already knows how to fix the problems in its prisons.
They know that the understaffing, they know that it's security risk, they know that the cameras are not put in Vaughn. They've known this for years.
Butcher is among those who are critical of a plan to have 2 former judges review the causes behind the deadly hostage situation at the Vaughn prison. Earlier this week, attorneys representing the family of slain correctional officer Stephen Floyd in a lawsuit over the incident said a review by 2 retired judges on the incident is unnecessary. Some current and former correctional officers say the state has been slow to respond, and they claim Delaware leaders, including Governor John Carney, have been slow to act.
Lieutenant Governor Carney in 2004 was part of the Minner administration. What has changed? What has he done? They're obviously part of the problem.
Carney's administration has allocated more than $300,000 to buy new gear and equipment for correctional officers and prisons. In his budget plan, Carney also wants to hire 75 new correctional officers for Delaware prisons. But when it comes to the independent review, Carney has said it won't start until the criminal probe ends. So far, police have said no one is charged in the February 1st incident.
We did put in a call to Governor Carney's office seeking comment, but did not get a call back this afternoon. One other thing to note, WBOC has learned the leaders with the Delaware National Guard recently toured the Vaughn prison. Correction officials said the visit was part of ongoing discussions about how the Guard could assist during emergency situations. Reporting in the Kent County Bureau, I'm Tom Lehman. Steve and Todd, back to you in the Newsplex.
All right, Tom, thanks for that. Tonight in Worcester County, a man wanted in connection to sexual assaults in Virginia was found dead in Pocomoke City. Yesterday, Pocomoke City police officers tried to locate 44-year-old Christopher Cuono at the Newtown Apartments on active warrants out of Accomack County. When officers went inside, they found Cuono dead in a bedroom from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. The Worcester County Bureau of Investigation is now following up on that investigation.
Well, a big change in temperature here on Delmarva today. It was warm.
It was really warm today, still is. After a couple days in the 60s, some areas were near or above 80 today. Let's go to Easton right now from the Hertrick camera. Showers began popping up this afternoon, and we certainly have not seen the last of the wet weather. Meteorologist Mike Litsniak in the Storm Tracker Weather Center tonight with a quick check on that forecast. Mike. In Sussex County, city leaders are calling a brand new housing complex the crown jewel of an effort to build up the town of Seaford.
WBOC's Chris Weimer joins us tonight in the Newsplex. Chris, the Seaford Chamber of Commerce celebrated that crown jewel with a grand opening today.
Yeah, it may not look like anything more than just a big apartment building, but for the city of Seaford, this building is the core part of a mission to grow.
It's the kind of thing you'll see 100 times in your life. A giant pair of scissors and a ribbon cutting. But some represent more than just a pat on the back celebration. Some call for the governor to be there, because this ribbon cutting marks a major step forward for the city of Seaford.
This is the beginning. This is the new beginning for Seaford. It's the rebirth of Seaford, actually. And we hope this will spur development.
The residences at River Place set along the Nanticoke River in Seaford, it's being touted as a gated, upscale waterfront community. The city's economic development director says they hope the 72 waterfront units acts as the cornerstone piece in a push to grow downtown.
If you happen to ride down High Street, you'll notice that the vacancies aren't quite as much as they used to be, which is great to have businesses in there. We certainly have room for plenty more, and we hope to continue to see that the development in some of the other areas downtown will continue to grow.
In January of 2015, former Governor Jack Markell announced Seaford as one of the first 3 downtown development districts, a designation that gives the city access to a grant program aimed to grow downtowns.
This program has brought to Seaford about $2 million worth of rebate and $25 million worth of investment.
Friday's ribbon cutting, a moment marking a step forward for that growth.
We mentioned former Governor Markell's designating Seaford as a downtown development district. Since that time, several Delaware communities on Delmarva have also received that same designation, including Dover, Georgetown, Harrington, Laurel, and Milford.
All right, Mike, thanks. Still ahead here on WBOC News at 6. A Kent County neighborhood has gone to the cats.
Yeah, now the city of Dover is getting some help to get the feral cat population under control.
That's still to come here on WBOC News at 6. But first, our eye in the sky. Chopper 16 witnessing the first spray of the year in Laurel, Delaware. Crop duster Dusty Hall flying near Chopper 16 the other day, getting ready for another season and another great shot from Chopper 16. Good flying, Dusty.